Live chat. And trying to position it. All right, that's good. Oh shoot, this is still on from yesterday. Got to change that one. It's been raining all day, so haven't gone to the store. Guess I'll go tomorrow. Throat's a little parched. I need water, so I'm gonna get right into my YouTube video. You guys can watch with me and ask me questions along the way.
Mad. And it concerned a young woman by the name of Stephanie Wee. She has a Singaporean citizenship, and she's currently dating what I think is a African man or a black man in that particular country. And this young lady obviously was getting a lot of hate comments, especially from a lot of white men who found her attractive. But I remember something very, very interesting on her Instagram. And that was this. If you look at this particular post, she writes, "This is considered fat in Korea, by the way." At the time, I really didn't think about this because
I to change this
I know
angle.
that Asian cultures really push a very
Change.
thin or skinny type of look, and many women are pressured to fit into this particular profile. But again, like I said, I just never thought about it.
Angle up.
And then I happened to be on Instagram again when I got recommended this particular couple for my feed. And the name of this couple is Will and Nicole. Now, this is a very unique pairing because Will is this tall black guy from the UK, and Nicole is this very short, petite Asian lady from Malaysia. And I thought nothing of the relationship until I started to go through their profile. And it's a very fun family profile. I mean, there's the grandmother or her mother who didn't like him at first, and now they're all hugging their friends. But then there was a particular post that
place it more directly in front of me
that I thought was very interesting.
Growing up in the 90s in Asia, my body type was not the beauty standard. The beauty standard was thick, thin, like Kate Moss. And when I was growing up, I get teased a lot. I was called big. Big bone, big thighs, big bum.
Now, she grew up in Malaysia in the 90s, and her body type was made fun of. She was called big thighs. She was called names that insinuated she was fat, big bum. And I thought that was interesting because if we really look at her body type and her build, we wouldn't think that this person was fat at all. But when we look at her perspective on things, this is similar to what you see with Stephanie Wee out in South Korea. And so the first question I want to ask, if either of these ladies had fit the body type of the men that they desired, would they be dealing with black men?
Too far. Too far.
And the question is, most likely not. This doesn't mean that they are not attracted to black men or they wouldn't give black men a chance. It would just be easier to stay within the culture, just like how it is for black men in the black community. For somebody like me, I grew up in Del Paso Heights in Sacramento, and it's still much easier for me to deal with somebody, in the black community, even though you might see somebody that's Caucasian that's attractive, you might see a Latina that's attractive, but still, it's just easier to stay within your own culture where you know things, you have understandings of what's going on, and you get more approval from the people that you grew up with, and then you kind of want to make people in the culture happy.
Who cares about people in the culture and people I grew up with? Fuck
in the
them.
black
Are they
culture.
paying my
And
bills?
this doesn't make anybody racist. It just indicates preference. There's a big responsibility on all of us, no matter what culture we come from, to conform to that particular culture. So my answer would be,
What's up, Carlton?
absolutely not.
He's right,
But then let's talk about these body types, right? She is called in her culture thick, big thighs. Now, if we look at her again, that's not what we see in the black community. When we see somebody
Appreciate it.
big or thick thighs, we're talking about somebody who looks like what you're seeing in the background, all right?
Yeah, that's
And
ridiculous.
for us, most black men, and it doesn't matter where you're coming from. You could be from the black community.
No,
this
that's
could be
not thick.
Jamaica,
That's
This
just
could be
fact.
Uganda, Kenya, South Africa.
We need to stop the big
Most
bone
black
and
men,
thick stuff.
African men, have
When you look at an
almost
X-ray of
very
someone
similar tastes, which is why it's very
who's
easy
supposedly
for
thick
brothers
and
who
big
want to go
bone,
to South Africa.
you'll see like a
It's
small
very
little
easy for brothers who
skeletal
want to deal in certain
frame
parts of
with this huge
Afro-Colombia, Black
grimace-looking
Brazil,
fat
Uganda, you
bodysuit
name it,
over it.
because the types of bodies are the same, right? And they promote the same things, which is the reason why
That's what
intercultural
O'Shea
marriages
likes.
is so high
Probably.
amongst black people and
It's
black
all
men
good
in
if that's what he
particular,
likes. That's what he
amongst the
likes.
diaspora. But in her
That shit's
culture,
ugly.
this is
You're fat.
unattractive. However, if you look at somebody like Stephanie Wee, she fits the prototype of what a black woman would look like in the black community. If you put them side by side, obviously
No, she
Stephanie
doesn't.
Wee
She looks.
is not
She's
as
still
thick as
smaller than a
them,
black woman.
but she is closer to them than, let's say, Nicole is. All right. Now let's look at Nicole, who is thin, but she is Asian. Now, the one thing about black men is while black men can prefer
Calories
somebody
in,
who is
calories out.
thicker and
Yeah.
has more body, black men are also
High protein
probably more
diet,
adjustable on the
unless you
kind of
have
women
PKU
that
like
they can
me.
date. Black men can date somebody
Daily
who is super
exercise,
thick.
get
Black
some
men can date
sun,
somebody who
and
is
drink water.
completely skinny,
That's it.
or
That's pretty
even on
much
the
it.
heavier side. And that really helps black men in the dating market because our range is so vast. Whereas other groups of men tend to have more restrictive dating patterns. Not everybody, right? But again, because of their cultural dating habits, they can obviously see a woman that's black and think that she's attractive and all that. But again, pressures to conform will take over. Nobody really tells black men that you shouldn't date this girl if she's fat, or you shouldn't date this girl if she's skinny. Like, we really don't hear that, at least when I was coming up. So somebody like Nicole, even though she's thin, it's like, hey, well, hey, you look good to me. Nothing is wrong with that. So what happens is you take this particular lady who is not attractive, maybe in her own home community,
Yeah, she is.
and then
Trust
she
me.
comes over to the
Korean
black
men would
community,
smash.
and then
That's
things
BS.
will get
Korean
better.
men would definitely
And that
smash.
leads me to the next
That's
point.
BS.
It's not only until I moved to the UK that I realized that, hey,
In the 90s, sure,
other
she would have
body
been no.
types deserve to be celebrated too. I have learned to accept my body type. I've not learned to love it. And I think the turning point was when I started running marathons. This thick thighs and this big butt of mine has not carried me.
She does not have a big
one,
butt and thick
but
thighs.
2 marathons.
Well, I mean, I
So
can't
Nicole
see all
moved
of
to
it
the
because she's
UK.
just showing herself from
She
the.
understood that there were
she does
other
not have a-
body types that were accepted. And
The
just
Korean
like I
chick, she
on the
did, but this
Indian
Malaysian
video,
Chinese
you
chick,
had
no.
this Indian lady
no.
who was culturally from India, but she lived in Toronto.
And
so
I don't
now
even
you
like
have women
huge
away
butts
from their
and
families,
and
they
stuff like
have
that, but she
friends of
doesn't have
different
one,
nationalities. They get into
which
environments
is why I
where
like
they
it.
have more
But
freedom.
I like small butt
And
with thick,
basically, they start to learn
small butt,
to
thick thighs,
love who they are. And then
And then I met
small
Will.
waist.
Will has
But she doesn't
always,
have like
always
she's talking about she has
explained
thick thighs. You gotta see
how
this
much he
small
loves
little
my-
Chinese Malaysian woman. She
my
does not
strong
have thick
legs
thighs and a big
and
butt.
how much he loves my big butt. And I think
No, I mean
girls
the clue is she just says she
do not
runs
settle.
marathons. No one who runs marathons has a
deserve
big butt
a
and
man
thick thighs. Come
who
on.
tells you and
I haven't
reminds
seen it.
you
You might
how
have some people
beautiful
who
you are.
claim they do
Just the
marathons and they
way
really
you
just did a
Now, remember
5K
she
or a
met
10K.
and Will is a black
That's not a
man,
marathon.
and he told
She
her
says she
to
runs marathons.
love her body type. She was okay as she was. Now, imagine
The
some
thing
of
that
these
messes
ladies
her
from
up is
different
her
cultures.
square face.
A lot of these women, at least from what I have read,
Yeah, that's what she's
I don't know
saying. In
how
the
many, but
90s, she
many
said
of
she
these
was
women have
considered
done
fat
things such as
where she grew up.
starve themselves,
But
make themselves
and
vomit to
one of the
lose
reasons
weight.
I find it hard to
They've
believe,
taken all this abuse.
she's
because of
Chinese,
what
but
they
she
look
live,
like,
but she's
and
Malaysian
they have
Chinese.
tried and tried
Malaysians
and
are
gotten as
Malaysians
skinny
are
as they
thick.
could, and still
Malaysians,
nothing is working to the
Indonesians,
satisfaction
and
of the
Filipinos
market
are
that
all
they're
thick
trying to appease.
women.
And then here's a black
They're
man
still
who
small
has
compared to
more
our women,
open standards when it comes to
but
looks
they are thicker
and things of
than
that nature,
like
and
Chinese and
he's
Korean and
completely okay
Japanese
with it.
women.
And so
that's
this
one
is
reason
also
why
what's really,
Asian
really
men.
important for black men. Because black men
That's another
are
thing.
so
Like
inclusive
Asian men do
in their
like
dating habits.
these curvy
They can
women.
deal with a vast variety
Southeast Asian
of
women
looks,
are considered the
of
baddies
cultures,
in
and this
Asia. They're
actually
considered the
works
baddies,
to their
especially here in
advantage.
America.
A lot of black men have the ability to accept a lot of women as they are, and this is why I think a lot of black
Because
women
they are
struggle in the international
curvaceous.
dating market. It's not that black women are
So
not attractive; it's just that other groups
in
of men
in
tend to be
Malaysia,
more
she would not have stood
exclusive.
out
So if you're dating a
as
white guy,
fat.
and if you're dating a
To
black woman who
Chinese
is
people
of a
in
certain
mainland
size,
China, yes,
or
because
if
a lot
you're
of
a
them are
guy
skinny.
from
A
certain
reason
parts
a
of the
lot of
Arab
them are so
world,
small,
you know,
though,
women have to kind of fit
it's because
into
they're
a certain
undernourished.
box, especially
And
if they're
we
poor.
know
I'm
this
not saying
because
all the time, but
when
if
you
they're
see a lot
poor,
of modern Chinese
especially
people
if you want the
today
relationship to end in marriage.
eat a more
And if
westernized
these
diet,
women can't meet
they are
those
taller,
standards, it's only a certain level
they are
that
taller
some of these
and have
women
more dense
can get to,
musculature
right? Now
than
with black men,
than
that
the
is
poorer rural
completely
folks in
different.
China.
Black men can actually capitalize on the pain that the culture of these women have experienced, especially if they have left their home country.
Same thing
And you meet
in
them in
South
the UK,
Korea.
you meet
The
them,
ones that eat a more
like I said,
westernized
in New
diet
York City,
are
and then you
thick
have
like
a
this
black
Korean
man
chick.
who is typically
She's she's bad.
and
She
he's
is
gonna
bad.
put you at a higher
But this
level
Malaysian Chinese chick,
in the
the
relationship.
reason
than
she's not
what your
considered attractive,
own
she got
man
this
would.
square ass
And
face.
this means, maybe not
Like she
doing
got a
as many
square
chores.
jaw,
This
looking like
means
Dudley Do
not
Right.
having to focus on, doing so much
No,
work for
I mean
your
no
mother-in-law.
shade to her. I would still
This
smash,
means
but
not having to be
she
a
has this
slave
Dudley
to a
Do Right
certain
looking
culture
chin.
and doing certain cultural things. And so what happens
He's like,
is it improves the person's quality of life dealing with this black man, even though you don't think about it like that. And this is what I heard before. There was a brother that I interviewed before, and his name was Art Banaka, right? Shout out to him. I haven't seen him in a while. He was actually a Haitian guy, and he's a truck driver, and his wife was Polish. I don't know if they're still married, but he came to see me. He's the only subscriber that ever came to see me in Poland. And his wife told me flat out, like, one of the reasons why she married Art Banaka was because of the freedom that she had in the relationship in comparisons to dealing with Polish men. And, like, they were completely cool. I mean, I would love to talk to him again. And every time I talk to the women that choose black men, you always hear that. And black men give a lot of these foreign women a lot of incentive. Right?
O'Shea's
And
letting
this is
people,
what you
black
gotta
guys,
have
know how to
when
win
you
these
want to
Asian
date
women
somebody of
and
your
foreign
culture.
women in general.
And I think this is going to continue to rise because when you're so inclusive in welcoming
One
and
is
not
that
as judgmental as other groups,
curvy women
you're
more open
going
to
to
dating
get
black men
a lot more
because they often get
opportunities to
rejected by
date
their own men for not being
And
skinny
everything
enough.
is not about, because black men are tall and black men
Boom.
not swag. It's the inclusive
Boom.
dating strategy, and we're seeing it here in real time. So, guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea D. Jackson, back at it again.
And because we're
Another
much
episode
bigger
of
than
Celebrity Drunk.
Asian
I really appreciate you for all that you do.
Asian people
Start with the
on
bell,
average,
we're out.
for us, they're still tiny. So O'Shea is actually putting people on game. He's he's coming around ever since I think he had those conversations
Ain't no harm in wandering.
with
There's a bounty of fresh
with
produce delivered
BMT
daily
Black
for the
Male
taking.
Travels and with Richie Mack from Zoom in Thailand.
So
I think he's
Something
become
new.
less judgmental
Every hour.
about black men
It's
in
an offer.
interracial relationships. He still prefers black women himself, but you notice he stopped being. If you've been watching his videos over the past 2 months, he's been a lot less judgmental about interracial relationships than he used to be. That, and I think his audience just kept roasting him over it. So I think that was a factor as well. Like if like, I'm making up this number, but if like 70% of your audience are black men who are open to interracial relationships, it kind of makes sense that you not keep shitting on their preferences. Again, I'm not saying that is the case, but it would make sense. But yeah, he just put black men on the game. The curvier women, yes, mine says maturing. I mean, at 45, he ought to be, right?
I've been able to get a job at British Council.
But yeah, he just put black men on game on this video. These curvaceous women, whether Asian or European, are often rejected by their own men.
It's very compromising. complementary to my lifestyle.
So
and
they
schedule.
are more
One of the
open to
best
dating black
decisions I've
men
ever
who
made.
would not only accept their bodies but actually love it. Like that Korean chick, yo, she even the white men liked her because um they were mad that she was dating a black guy. So and she was and she, on her Instagram she's intentionally trolling white not Asian men. She's intentionally trolling white men that she's dating a black man. So it's pretty hilarious. And I'm not throwing any shade to white men too, but we know the types that and he mentioned that in his previous video where they act like they own Asian women. So
Whether you're backing up your home, exploring the outdoors, or powering the job site, Harbor Freight has the portable generators.
Black men, if you want to date in Dominican Republic, make sure you listen to me.
I had some downtime last night, so I decided to get
the
a
DR would have
TikTok.
been something I would have been
And
interested
as I
in
was
like
strolling and looking at the feed, I got something recommended.
20 years ago.
There was
I
a
mean, I would
video
still
from a
go
creator
just to
called
visit,
Extreme
but I'm no
Being
longer
Told,
interested in going to meet the women.
had been living in the Dominican Republic, and the problem
Because to me, they're
was
just black
Black
chicks
men,
who
if you
speak
want to date
Spanish.
in Dominican Republic, make sure you listen to me. Yes, we have the advantage of being American. We have the advantage.
And I mean, some of them
having more money and resources
very
than a
pretty.
local
Don't get me
Dominican
wrong, because there's
man.
like this
But
Dominican
there's just
barbershop
one thing
and
you
beauty
have
salon
to
in the
worry
mall
about
up the street
in
from me.
DR that you don't
And
have
every
to
time
worry
they have
about
one of
in
the
the
women
States.
working the desk,
A
they are
lot of
like
Dominican women
they are
prefer
like
white men.
bad as fuck.
A white man can be fat and ugly, but if he's in DR, he is the closest thing to God to them.
Now, unfortunately, there is
Yep.
some truth to this.
Yep,
If you
he ain't
experience
lying.
this,
Me no
press
black.
one in the comments.
These
You've been
motherfuckers be darker than
overseas,
me
you
talking about
see
I'm not
pretty women.
talking about me no
While
black.
you may get preferential treatment for being a black American
The
overseas,
white guys get more
it's
upset when a black guy
impossible
dates an Asian woman.
to
Asian
not
men
see
don't
the
really be
fact
tripping
that
like that.
white
They really
men,
don't.
regardless of
One of
what
my
they
closest
look
friends is a
like or
Chinese
their
guy.
age,
He never threw
getting
shade at me
preferential treatment
when
that
he found
could
out that I
be
started
better than
liking
you.
Asian
But
women.
this just
Because he was
doesn't
like,
happen
you're
in
small like
Dominican
me.
Republic.
In
It
fact,
happens all the time
my
in
friend, shout out to
Africa,
my
where
friend
you can
David.
feel like
He's
that
actually
would mean
taller than
her.
me.
But the question
He
is,
was like 6
are
foot,
Dominican
200
women
pounds.
racist
And I remember
towards
even
black
back in high
women?
school, he was
From
bigger
the
than me because I
Dominican
remember
Yes.
I was
Okay, so this is a good question
teaching him
for
some judo
my
throws
Do
back when we were like
Dominican women that live in Dominican
15,
Republic
16.
love black men?
And so I was showing him some judo throws outside. And I was telling
I'm gonna lie, I'm
my
not
female
racist,
friend
but I love,
Shani at the
I'm
time.
black too.
I was like, yeah, I was
But
training with David.
a
And I
lot of
was like,
females over
we were
there, they're
doing
racist.
some
A lot
judo
of-
throws and stuff.
yeah, a lot of people
She's
are
like, you could
racist.
throw his
To be
big
honest.
ass.
The woman here
I was like,
admits
yeah.
that Dominican
I was
Republic
like, it's
is,
not
in
about
fact,
size, it's about
racist,
leverage.
even though she
She's like,
considers
wow.
herself black.
So yeah,
But
dude was
this
bigger
does
than
not
me, so
mean
he
that
never threw
all
shade because
Dominican women
he
are
did
racist
used to be
or
one of
all
those
Dominican women
guys.
want white men, because
They
there's
used to
so many
they used to
black
troll
American men
white men
going to
saying they
Dominican
just wanted
Republic
a small
all the
Asian
time,
girl
and it
because
doesn't bother them
because
as
they
much.
were
Now, while they may have a
predators.
preference for white men,
and
there
I
is
get
also
so tired of that
strong
narrative.
preference
So
for
I ain't
black
even
men too.
I ain't even
And
I
there
ain't even
seems
say
to be
anything when he was saying
plenty
that
of
about other
options
men
for brothers
since
in
he didn't say
the
shit
DR.
like that to
But
me.
let's continue.
So
But
from
he
what
was
Dominican
definitely
women
one of
told
those
me,
assholes,
the
one of
white
those
men
assholes
typically
that
have
try
more
to
money and are more
shame
generous with it.
American men
Their
for dating
families
Asian
are
women
more
because.
accepting of the white
But
man
that's only because he was
they wanna
rejected by
whiten up,
Asian
you
women.
know,
He even
their
told me that,
race.
like he had
Now,
a whole
generosity is
thing
something
about
that can be debated. On
when we was
average,
in
white
college
men
saying
may be more
that when you
generous
look at
than black
when you look
men,
at porn,
and that
Asian women
could
are
be the
only
case. And
fucking white and
also,
black
getting with a
men.
white man is more acceptable.
I was like,
for
because
many
they-
Dominican families because they do want to whiten
Dude,
up the race.
that
But the real issue
that has nothing to
is,
do with
are
their
black American
personal
men
preference. That
more generous
that has more to
than
do with
Dominican
what
men?
people
And on
want to
average,
see
I
in
would
the
say
in the
that's
in
the
the
case because
porn
black American
films.
men have more money.
On
The
that,
Dominican Republic is a
personally,
huge
they
island,
might
and
prefer
there's
Asian
so
men. We
many
don't know
women
this.
there,
We don't know their
and there just
preferences
isn't
from
enough
who they're
white
sleeping with in
men
those
or enough
movies.
foreigners
The
for
movies are
everybody to
catering
have one.
towards
So if a
the
black
majority of the
American man
audience in
is
America,
more
which
generous
is
than the average
non-Asian
Dominican man,
men.
he would still have an opportunity. And again, this is some Dominican women, but it would not be all of them.
I'm gonna rewind
Black
this a
people-
bit. And then, and plus he has the stereotypes too. Like when he found out my wife was Filipino, he was like, "Was she a nurse?" Like, no, nigga. I didn't say that, but I was. If he were black, I would have said that. I was like, no. I just laughed. I was like, nah. I said, no. She works for a bank. He was like, oh, okay, because that's the stereotype. That all Filipinos are nurses. Maybe here in America, but not overseas. Most of the ones who become nurses try to get overseas because they get paid so much better over here than back there. Nurses over there are overworked and underpaid, severely underpaid.
that all Dominican women want white men because there's so many Black American
Is
men
it based on
going
the
to
Asian
Dominican
population? I
Republic
think
all
Asian
the
people
time,
prefer each
and
other.
it
It's
doesn't
billions of
bother
them.
them as
Yeah,
much.
I mean,
Now, while
most
they may have a preference for white men,
most
there
groups
is
prefer
also
their
a strong
own.
preference for Black men too, and there seems to be plenty of options for brothers
The guys,
in the DR. But
the
let's
guys
So from what the
who
Dominican women told
who
me,
generally
the
prefer
white men
interracial
typically
dating
have more money
are
and
of
they're
a
more
different
generous
type.
with it. Their
In
families
every
are
ethnic
more
group, the ones
accepting
who
of the white
prefer
man because
interracial
they want to
dating
whiten up,
over
their race.
now,
dating within their own
generosity
groups
is something
tend
that
tend
can
to
be
be
debated.
of a
On average,
different sort
white
of
men may be more
mindset
generous than Black men,
than the
and that
majority of the
could be
men
the
in their own
case. And
groups.
also,
Whether
getting
you're
with a
talking about
white
black,
man is
Asian,
more
white,
acceptable for many Dominican families because they do want to whiten up the race. But the real issue is this: are Black American men more generous than Dominican men? And on average, I would say that's the case because Black American men have more money. The Dominican Republic is a huge island, and there's so many women there, and there just isn't enough white men or enough foreigners for everybody to have one. So if a Black
But
American
yeah, some
man
of those
is more
some of those
generous than the
Dominicanas are
average
definitely
Dominican
hot.
man, he would still have an opportunity. And again,
But
this
for
is
me, I
some
want like a
Dominican women,
Latina who's
but
like
it would not be all of them. Black people
more
in general
Spanish
are generous.
than
Black Americans in particular give 25% of their income to
than
charities
like
every year. That includes Black men.
black.
But again, I can see
Nah, I
the
like the ones who are
perception that
mixed with
Dominican women can feel
uh,
that
in,
white men are more
indigenous
generous. But then
White men,
origins.
they're not as much players like Black men are.
Like
so
those
they
that
know,
that
like, when they get a
mestiza
white man, that they
are,
probably
are,
want
are
to be
beautiful.
that white man's only woman.
now, Black American men have been going to
But I don't want the
DR
ones
for a
who
while.
basically are
I
just
do
black
know
chicks
that
who
a lot
speak
of brothers
Spanish.
and a lot of brothers are getting a
It's
reputation
like
for not selling down.
Because when you first come here, you're gonna get on Tinder, and Tinder's great. It's not like the States. In the States, you might get a few matches, but here,
don't
you're
listen to
gonna
him.
get
Don't do
hundreds.
Tinder
Now,
overseas. I'm
as
telling
you
you,
can
don't
see
do Tinder
here, our
overseas.
brother Ronan the Travelers is
Don't
letting
do
everybody
Tinder
know
overseas,
that if you come
particularly
to
in places
DR,
like DR
you're
and
going to
Colombia.
match a lot more than you do in the States. And that's
Yeah, you will get
largely true
matches,
if you go
but
to Nairobi, if you're in Kigali, Rwanda, almost every other place outside of America, it's going to be a
you
lot
will get
easier
matches, but you
for
don't get a lot of
you
scammers.
to match. And then
Out of those hundreds, so let's say 100, right? You got 100 beautiful women reached out, fine, and they all good.
Like I said, he might be right,
60%
but
of
I
them
would warn
probably
guys, don't do
not the
Tinder
type that you want to deal with.
overseas.
white men have typically had an advantage in the dating
Yes,
pool
you'll get a
over
lot of
lot.
matches,
So by the
but
time they decide they want
the
to get married,
quality of those
they
matches
already
is the
understand
question.
that they have this advantage.
He might come
especially in
up
a place
missing
like
during
the DR.
Tinder there.
Now,
Well, that's
they've
more
had this
Colombia
advantage
than the
all
DR.
along.
They
Did this
do
research
some
done
of that does
by
happen
Pew
in the
Research
DR, but
Center.
that's mostly
You'll
in
see
Colombia
that
with
white
these
men, on
scopolamine
average, are
queens.
the most desired group by gender across everybody in the entire world. The second place is Asian
And
women.
also
The
make
third
sure you
place
stay
is
somewhere
white
where there's
women.
security.
Now,
That's
if you
another
look
thing.
at the
Like that's another
bottom,
thing. Even my
black
cousin
men
was
were
saying when
ranked
he's in
second to
Colombia. He's
last,
like, man,
and you got
he says, as
black
long as you
women.
stay somewhere where
So
you,
when
with
you
security,
look
he
at
said
black
you're
men
good.
coming to the DR,
So
for a lot
stay
of them,
somewhere
this is their
where they
first
have
time,
security.
you know, being able to
I'll
get
say in,
matched.
in
This is their
mostly any
first time
place, like
getting into an
Philippines as
environment
well.
where,
I would
you know, they can
stay
deal
somewhere
with
where there's
the
security.
kind of
That's why I like the
choice.
condos
Whereas
and
white
the
men have had this
hotels
advantage
because there's
their
security
entire life.
at those.
So now
There's
the
security
leverage
at those
is reversed. And
at
if
those
Dominican
hotels, and
women
these hotels be like
don't want to
4
marry black
stars or
men,
5
that's fine.
stars, and they're
But
cheap.
here is something that a lot of Dominican women don't want to talk about.
A fiance, a baby daddy, or a pimp. And 9 out of 10 times, her husband is all of those things. Because
Yep.
in DR, when a woman, a man that a woman falls in love with in DR is a man that they've been with since they was like 11 or 12 years old. So they never separate from him. So these guys become their pimps. So they send them out into the tourist areas. And
Yep.
so a lot of times,
Do that in the Philippines as well. Some of these
women do
guys,
set these
some
guys
of
up.
some of these girls
So
be getting
while they're
pimped out by their
having sex
boyfriends or
at the
husbands.
hotel, you know, her
Like
husband
they're
or
they're
pimp,
selling box,
he got his own
but
piece where he comes
but
home
it's their
and rob,
husband or
guy,
boyfriend
and
is
she
having them
playing
do
along
it.
with it. She's getting robbed as well, and that's her pimp. And that's how they make money aside from selling. So they rob tricks.
And this brother's been living in the Dominican Republic, or been going there for quite a long time. And a lot of times when black men try to get into relationships with Dominican women,
it's funny, you and
get situations like
Agatha
this.
switch
The
places.
woman
She
already
was
has
she
kids.
was on my live
A
yesterday
woman is
talking to
already
me. Now
tied
it's you
to a
today,
man,
so that's funny.
And this woman may or may not be trying to extort that particular black man. And so he's a little bit concerned because, yes, it's true. A lot of brothers have been set up. A lot of brothers have been robbed.
See,
I've heard so
it happens in
many
DR just like in Colombia. I was like, what's the point?
marrying women in the Dominican Republic.
I'm gonna
just to
say
bring
it,
them to the
and I don't
States.
care if it offends
You know, the
me.
woman
Latin
gets
America is a
sponsorship,
shithole.
shit for the Dominican
Life is
guy.
held cheap.
I mean, all
Life
kinds
is
of
held
horror
cheap
stories
in
that
most of
will
Latin
just make
America.
you cringe.
It
if
is.
you've heard it.
It's
But ultimately,
Seinfeld said
despite
that.
all
Remember
of
when
his
Jerry
criticisms
Seinfeld
and
said
doubts
that back on that
in
old
the Dominican
Seinfeld episode?
Republic, I would
She was
honestly say
Elaine was like, "You want to disparage an entire
It's
continent?"
just
He said,
crazy. Check out the one in the
"He said I'm
travel
disparaging
YouTube channel. I
the
mean,
entire
it's insane.
continent."
And the thing is, you're always gonna have people
He's
who
right.
like you.
Well, look
You're
at the
gonna have
former
women out there who
CIA
like
CIA
white
officer
men,
Jason
women
Hansen.
out there who don't
He
wanna marry
says,
you 'cause you're black.
avoid
But again, as a man,
Mexico.
you
Like,
have
don't
leverage.
go.
I mean, you have Venezuelan women in the
Like,
Dominican Republic. You
Mexico
have
is a
Haitian women, you have
shithole. He
Colombian
knows
women,
as
you
a
have
CIA
Dominican women.
officer
I mean,
that
if you're a
Mexico
solid
is
brother,
really is
you're
nothing
gonna
more than
have
a
your
default.
opportunity
It is a de
too.
facto
And while
narco
he
state.
does bring up some
The
very
cartels
interesting
run the
points,
country more
it
than
doesn't
the
change
actual
the
Mexican
fact
government.
that as a black American
We got
man
Green
with
Berets down
income
there
that can take care of himself,
who are
you're gonna have
there
leverage.
training
So guys,
the
in
Mexican
my region,
Marines
what do you think?
to deal with the
Subscribe to the
cartel.
bell. Let me know below, and we're out.
Like, they need our special forces to come down there and train them to deal with their own problem. And it's not like in the Philippines where you have a portion of the government. So you have a portion of the country, people don't know this, in the south called Mindanao. That's the southernmost region, who are in open rebellion against the national government. And it's been so since the 70s, ever since the fallout with
move and iterate much
with
faster.
Ferdinand Marcos, the military dictator, the president who became the dictator of the country for 20 years.
Which is extremely empowering.
But most of the northern parts of the Philippines is quite safe. The Luzon region and most of the Visayas, although there's some riffraff in the Visayas as well. But most of Luzon and the Visayas is safe. The Mindanao is the bad region, and so we do have our American Special Forces down there who work to train the Philippine Army and Navy to deal with the rebels in the south. Which is why we need to reopen those 5 military installations in the Philippines that were closed back in the 80s. I think the last one was closed in the 90s. That was the last one. But we have 5 installations. We need to reopen those.
Product data that shows light mode versus dark mode usage on a product. I said I want to explore the fraction of dark mode usage over the past
in Mexico, like the whole government, like the whole country, like look, the cartels are only in the north of Mexico, but they are a problem everywhere. Like Mexico City is dangerous as fuck. Like that's the Mexico City is the capital city. When your capital is dangerous, that sets a bad precedent for the rest of the country. This was my point with Haiti years ago, because Port-au-Prince is in ruins. And people was like, well, yeah, but on the outskirts of Haiti, it's still safe to go to the beach and stuff like that. I'm like, think about it. Why would you go to a country where the fucking capital is in ruins? If the central government is in complete disarray, the capital city is in ruins. It is a failed state. Why would you go to one of the safer parts of the country? Who's gonna safeguard those safer parts of? Who's gonna safeguard those parts of the country that are nice with the beaches and stuff? You have even Haitians. They will tell you, don't fucking go there. They was like, man, don't you go to the Haitians will be honest with you. They be like, man, don't you go to fucking Haiti? Because you got these stupid American travelers. You always got these little privileged travelers, especially privileged black travelers. Like, man, y'all don't know what y'all talking about. It's safe. off on the beaches. Like, nigga, if the central government has fallen, the capital, Port-au-Prince, is in ruins. Why would you risk going to one of the outskirts of the country because it seems safe? Who is safeguarding the safety of that part of the country? That that doesn't make any sense. And Mexico, like I said, you can travel to Mexico, but I know Jason Hansen said it warns people not to go. I would go. I'll be honest. I would go to Mexico, but I'm going to avoid the northern regions where the cartels reign supreme. What's particularly what's I forgot that area. You know, the parts close to the border, it's where the cartels reign supreme. I forgot that area. What it's called. Um, but in any case, even though I would go there to Mexico, I will admit it is a de facto narco state. The cartels are like the shadow government of Mexico. And like Seinfeld said, he's like, yeah, I will disparage an entire continent because Latin America is a shithole. Life is held cheap there. This is why they don't care about setting up these guys who go down there looking for relaxation or some spicy Latina pussy. I mean, look, we all love the big booty Latinas, but I mean, you there are trade offs. Your life is not an acceptable trade off. I don't care how put. I don't care. I don't care how good the what's the Spanish word for it? The I can't remember the name, but anyway, some of you who visited Colombia know the word I'm looking for people who watch this video on replay. But anyway, I don't care how good the chocha is. It's not your life is not an acceptable trade-off for it. Nor is all of your money and your passport.
Human Super Beets Heart Chews. 2 delicious pomegranate berry.
I would not eat a fuck. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be shitting on Google on YouTube ads. What is no ew fucking beet? A beet candy? Beet chewy? Ew. Beet chewy candy. That gotta be the most disgusting fucking candy ever. That beats black tobacco. I thought the black tobacco was the worst candy ever. This shit gotta be worse. Ill.
To tell you about the DNC shows you some of the reasons why.
Candy,
I think it's actually complicated.
Candy
I'm going to show you both
beets.
sides of this story, but first, let's look at the incompetence.
Sorry to do the Cosby face, but that's no Jello pudding pop. By the way, Jello pudding pops was fucking delicious. If I find somewhere. If I go somewhere else where I see them in the store, I'm buying some. I like the vanilla ones, not the chocolate ones. Of course, Cosby was giving people the chocolate Jello pudding pop. Oh shit! Stop. Oh, shit.
They have somehow found a way to be as unpopular as the Republicans. And this story we're about to tell you about the DNC shows you some of the reasons why. I think it's actually complicated. I'm going to show you both sides of this story. But first, let's look at the incompetence.
Boo! Don't both sides it. Boo! Okay. All right, I'm kidding. It's good. Fairness is good. The Dems are a nightmare. And I'm just talking about the establishment.
I'm watching the Young Turks. This is the third time I watched Young Turks today.
A specific person who seems to be struggling.
They're surprisingly saying stuff that I agree with.
Stare down what should be.
But remember, I used to watch the Young Turks all the time. I used to be a progressive.
Midterms. There have been some major questions about the party's leadership. So the party has hemorrhaged so much money that the Democratic National Committee put its physical headquarters up for collateral last year. in order to obtain a $15 million line of credit to help invest in off-year elections, and that's according to DC deed records not previously reported. A majority of this criticism lands at the feet of the DNC chair, Ken Martin. In fact, confidence in Martin's leadership has been shaky ever since it was reported that he literally cried on a private Zoom call with David Hogg, who suggested that the DNC primary the do-nothing Democrats, God forbid. Now, later, according to the New York Times,
I just saw
trust in Martin among donors and party officials
is
was
it
sapped by
sometimes they
his
tell people not to leave the
handling of a
resort or you'll be at
long-promised
risk. Yeah.
autopsy of the 2024
Like all the
election.
kids to
We
go
all
on
remember
spring
that,
break
right?
down
So
to
late last
Mexico
year,
to
he
go
said he
to
would not release the document, but as criticism mounted, he relented in May and
what's the
released
resort?
an incomplete draft that featured searing annotations
Same thing with Jamaica.
from the
They say not to leave the
DNC
resorts.
that undermined the
Chris Rock was
report.
saying
And
it
then
too,
after
like
a disastrous appearance
Jamaica's
on
a
Pod Save
shithole.
America to
Like you
discuss
drive
the
into the
autopsy
resort
itself,
and you
Martin
be seeing, he
has
said you be
basically
seeing
been
all
keeping
sorts
a
of
low
wild
profile,
shit,
which
like
is true. Like I haven't really
like
noticed much reporting
naked
about
kids
Ken
walking
Martin
around,
until
like
very
begging for money.
recently when
He
we
said you
learned
see
about
Shabba
how much
Ranks
debt the
his stabbing
DNC
you.
is in and
Shabba.
how he has lost
Shabba.
support. People don't really feel
Shabba.
much confidence in his leadership. So according to sources close to the Democratic National
He said, but
Committee,
once you get
he
to the
has grown
resort, like
increasingly
Ocho Rios, he's like,
paranoid
oh, isn't this
that
place
he
nice?
might be ousted from his current position, which he was elected to hold all the way through 2029. Now, earlier this month, Martin hit a breaking point.
As long as you
and
stay
threw
at
a
the resort,
phone at a
Jamaica, you
junior
good.
aide.
No, not at the aid, at the table.
You start wandering around
by the
Kingston,
aid.
you're gonna get
Okay,
fucked up.
so look,
Now,
you
what
and I are
one of my
both known
bosses
to
and
be
a friend of mine, he was like, man, he said I was free to go around. He said I wandered around Kingston. I didn't have any problems. But
it wouldn't even cross my mind to grab
that's before
any
he told me
object
he
and
was
throw it
Jamaican.
anywhere
He's
in a
fucking
professional
Jamaican.
setting, in a
Of
place
course, he
work.
would feel
Like,
safer walking around
can
Kingston. He's
people
fucking
please stop doing
Jamaican.
this? Whether
Even
it's
though I
David
do
Bowie or
understand a
Chocolate,
bit
don't
of
throw your
patois,
phone.
No, this is one of my defenses of him. There are people,
and I think the reason I understand a bit of patois is because I had a Jamaican nanny. So even though I don't I don't know, even though I can't completely understand everything I'm hearing with patois, it's like I still kind of understand it. I know that's weird, right? Like, because when I hear Jamaicans joking in patois, I get the jokes. It's funny. Like I don't understand. I can't understand word for word what they're saying, but I will get the joke. And I like I said, I guess it's just because I had a Jamaican nanny and I lived around West Indian people so much, at least here on the East Coast. When I lived in Illinois, I don't remember a single black person being West Indian out there. It was a few Africans that I knew, but there were no West Indians. There were no West Indians in the Midwest. None that I can recall. Maybe there's some in the city of Chicago, but even then, not really. There are Dominicans in Chicago. There's some Dominicans, but I don't remember any West Indians or Jamaicans. Plenty when I came back to Baltimore and in Philly and in DC, in the DC suburbs. Those are the three places where I lived here on the East Coast. Not so sure about when I was in Delaware, but I just consider that part of my Philly experience because where I lived in Bear, Delaware was like less than an hour away from Philly. So
Woman. However,
and plus everyone from that area tried to pretend they were from Philly, and I actually was from Philly.
Anywhere in a professional setting, in a place of work.
I never met a single kid while I was there my age because
whether it's
I was still going to school in Baltimore.
No, this is one of my defenses of him. There are people, and overall, he has not been good. So don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to buck him. I'm just trying to be honest with you guys. That place is leaking like a sieve. Every potential slightly negative thing about him immediately gets into the papers.
Mm-hmm.
There are clearly opponents inside the DNC. By the way, they're not progressives. They're establishment people, okay? They want someone even more pro-corporate, more establishment. and they're trying to get every piece of dirt to the press, and the press is eating it up, okay? So keep that in mind. It doesn't mean he's doing a good job. We'll tell you all the things he's doing actually wrong in a second. But when I read a story, it becomes obvious that there's an attempt at getting a guy.
But yeah, personally,
So
I would visit
later in the story,
any
they
and every
clarify he
country I
didn't throw the
could.
phone
I
at
would,
the guy.
I would
He
love
threw the
to
phone down,
get stamped every
and then it
country
got painted
in the world,
as throwing a phone in a general
including
direction.
Antarctica.
So when I
I don't know if
see
there's
that,
a
I go,
stamp
wait
for
minute, we got
Antarctica
bias here, right?
because it's not owned
So,
by
Okay,
anyone.
fair.
Like,
I mean,
I just ignore the phone thing. I think it's
But there gotta be
totally
something.
BS.
okay,
And like
fair.
you can
Look,
get to Antarctica from Argentina.
I have in my notes that it has
There
been
are
disputed
travel-
how aggressively
there are travel
that whole
agencies
situation
that
played
arrange
out.
that.
I don't even care. You're right. I don't care. But
I wanted to do it with the
I
Black
just
Travel
think it's a bad
movement
idea to grab any
uh,
object and
6 years ago
manipulate
with
it
like
in an
Reggie,
aggressive fashion when you're in the middle of a
who ran
conflict.
back
Okay,
the Black
If
Travel
that's what
if
movement.
that's what happened. Okay,
But the
so
dude
nothing
is a
else with
wanted
that, because I
fugitive
think
right
the-
now, even though he's still running his travel
I mean,
group
brazen mishandling
because of the millions of
funds
dollars
the DNC
he
had
owes
is telling.
for like his mismanagement
So,
of previous travel
In
groups where
expressing
he
his concerns to
basically
staff
ripped
and
off
basically
people.
bemoaning the sheer amount of leaks that are coming out from
So I would not be
his
going on the trip
office,
with
Martin
him.
said,
I don't
quote,
trust
my
him.
success is your success. So the
Even though
weaker
he still
I am, the
plans
weaker all of
they-
you are.
He still plans trips.
Donors
I'm
are
like, who's still
concerned,
stupid enough
and
to,
those concerns
to
are
do a
not just
trip with him?
limited to Martin's behavior. So now we get into
People
the
who don't
finances of
know
the Democratic
about
Party. Total
His
disaster.
legal
These people, I mean, it's just like
quagmire.
it feels like politics has increasingly become a money laundering scheme, but
Oh, definitely.
right?
Yes.
Okay. So let me give
That's
you the
not
details
new,
on this. The
Anna.
Democratic Party and its allies are far behind Republicans when it comes to money. Trump controls a $400 million super PAC, and the Republican National Committee is sitting on nearly $130 million. Martin's DNC is $2 million in debt. So let me just remind you all that in the last
Yeah,
presidential
have you heard of the
election,
Black Travel Movement? They used to be
Kamala
big
Harris
on Facebook. I used to
outraged
love that
Trump
group.
by a lot. Okay, so she had raised $1.5 billion, which I mean, it's hard to
But he
even
did these two
fathom the
botched
amount of money.
trips
But she
that
ended her
ripped off
campaign
people,
in debt.
put them in
So she wasn't
danger.
even able to provide,
And he was sued for
leftover
it.
funds to the Democratic National Committee. I think she
There's been a
her
warrant
campaign
for
was
him
$20
to
million in debt. Anyway, fast
come to
forward
the civil,
today, and you're dealing with the Democratic National
to
Committee
answer
that's
to the
$2
civil
million
case.
in
It's
debt,
a civil
whereas
warrant.
the Republicans have
So
obviously raised a lot more money. Now,
he's still
I
a
give you
fugitive,
that
but
example
it's
of
a
Kamala
civil
Harris
warrant. It's not
outraising
like
Trump, because I don't want anyone
a
to be
criminal
under the impression that, like, well, yeah, of course,
bench
Republicans
warrant.
have a much easier time
It's a
raising
civil
money
warrant.
because they're greedy and corporations love them.
But basically, they
and
want him to
that.
come to
They're not.
court and open up
Corporate
his
interests
books.
fund both parties. They want both parties
And
to
since he's
be
still
their
doing
co,
trips
okay,
and
to
stuff like
serve
that, he's
them
making it
as
worse
opposed to the
because they're
people.
going to want to
So,
know how are
I
you
mean,
still
Democrats haven't
funding
had a
these
hard time
trips
raising money.
when you
It's just
already
that they
been ordered by the court to
spend
pay
money
like
on
100
consultants that give them really bad
something
advice
million
and they
dollars
lose
in
elections.
restitution to these
Okay.
folks.
Yeah. See, there's so much nuance in the story.
Which
Because
means
the Democrats are not
if he actually
having as
did,
much trouble raising for their congressional arms, the House
yes,
reelection
he's
committees and
definitely playing a
Senate
dangerous game
reelection
because
committees.
if he actually did,
And why is that?
why?
It gets
So
to
if he
part of
ever
the
gets
problem with
pulled,
the DNC, which is
you
they
know,
haven't
pulled
made up
up,
their mind. Are they grassroots or are
like
they
if
corporate, right?
like if
Like
he
they've been
actually
acting corporate all
ever gets
throughout,
pulled
but
over by the
they
police
apparently, like,
and they pull him in
the
for the civil
super PACs,
warrant,
et cetera, and the corporate PACs are
like
still
he
a little
basically
bit
has to stay out of
squeezed
North
because they're not
Carolina, which is
exactly
where he's
sure which
from,
way
I
the
think,
DNC
North
is going to go.
Carolina.
Whereas they are
So
giving a lot
he
of
has to
money
stay
to
out of North
Jeffries and
Carolina
Chuck
and
Schumer
basically not
because
commit
they
any
know
crimes.
that those guys are going to serve them.
But if he ever gets
100%.
pulled over,
So,
if he ever
so
goes back
it's
to
an
North Carolina, he
ironic
gets
kind of
and he gets
complaint against
pulled
the
over
DNC
for speeding
that
or
the
something
PACs
like
aren't
that.
giving them as much
They
money
take him in for that
because they're
civil
not
warrant.
as sure that the DNC is corrupt.
Once he opens
Whereas
up
they
his
can take
his
Hakeem
books and
Jeffries and
shows
Chuck
his
Schumer for a trip to
finances,
the bank.
it
100%.
can actually become a criminal thing because once they see that he's been able to be making money for all these several years, despite having that pending.
Yeah, 6
I mean, not that
Democrats
that
voted in favor of merging
that,
our military with the IDF. So that was in the House vote.
Yeah, and they
that
needed that number.
legal action
Otherwise,
against
that
him where he
vote would've
owes
lost. The Democrats
millions
would've won.
and he hasn't
And
paid any of it.
Democrats.
Yeah.
But
And
the
just so when
Democratic
he's still
leadership is
making
so
money
corrupt,
that he
they
could have
make
been
sure
paying
that they
this,
lose each
it's
one
gonna
of
open
those
up.
votes.
It's gonna
So
open
this
him up to a
article should be
criminal
written
fraud.
about them and how
So
incompetent
it's gonna
they
go
are.
from being
Not
civil to
incompetent,
criminal because
honestly,
it's gonna
on the
then
other
show
side,
he's committing
they're not even
some sort of
Democrats.
financial fraud.
They're corrupt, absolutely. Also, new financial reports released
So
this
he's
week
definitely playing a
revealed the
dangerous game.
depth of the DNC's financial hole. The party is $2 million in debt, while the Republican
he would have
National
been better
Committee has
off answering the
$128.5
initial
million in
civil
cash on
suit
hand. The party
and
that
making
holds
some sort
the
of
White
payment
House almost
plan.
always raises
on-
more money into
That would have been better than
its
him just ignoring
coffers.
it.
But this year's chasm is extraordinarily large. At least that was how the New York Times framed it.
I mean,
Now,
he better become a passport bro
DNC
and
financing
get the
is
fuck
not
out of
just for the
Dodge.
midterms,
But
but
he
also
makes his
used
money
to kind of
from
lay
these
the
travel, from
foundation
making these
for
travel
the 2028
arrangements
presidential election.
for people.
And in a
But no one
panicked
trusts him
meeting
anymore.
with Senator Chuck Schumer and
Except for
Hakeem
the people who
Jeffries
don't know
from the House of
about his
Representatives, of course,
his
to
sordid
combat the
legal
dwindling financing.
history.
Basically, this is
The
what
problem
happened.
is,
Inside the room,
but
Martin
to
described
make
a
problems
proposal
even more
in which
complicated,
much of the
Carlton,
cash raised through this
apparently he's
mega
been
committee, which would include state parties nationwide,
planning
would
trips
be,
and taking people's
routed
money and
first
then canceling the
through
trips.
his committee
So he's
before
still
being
doing more.
distributed
He's
to the
still
congressional
committing more
party
bullshit.
arms.
He's been
I hate all of this,
apparently
and Jake
still
will
planning
decode
trips,
it all for us in just a
taking
second,
people's
okay?
money and then
At
canceling
least
them.
some involved saw the
The
move.
feds are probably building a case against him. Well, yeah, because if at first it was just a state, a North Carolina state thing, but it can cross over to feds. It can become a federal. If it becomes a federal financial crime, then he's fucked. Because once it becomes a federal financial crime, this is now going to be investigated by possibly Secret Service or because most people think Secret Service is just about protecting the president and political dignitaries. That's actually not their main mission. The Secret Service main mission is financial crimes and stuff like that, because they were originally part of the Department of the Treasury. So the United States of America versus Reggie. Yeah, he like I said, he's definitely playing a dangerous game. Like I said, he's still making money, but from what I'm hearing, and this is not hearsay because this came from like an actual Google search on using Google, the Google AI. So Google AI is actually pulling up actual information. It was showing that like there's been he's been reported to be planning trips, taking the people's money and then canceling those trips. So he's playing a dangerous game. Like even if he was doing that to eventually pay off his original his original scheme he got found guilty of, it would still open him up to further crimes. It's like you can't you can't pay restitution by committing the same crimes of like planning trips and canceling them after you take people's money. The other two, the original stuff was he planned trips and then you have to read about it. Plus it's on YouTube as well because he was on the news and it made it to YouTube and all that sort of stuff. But the trips weren't canceled, but like they were badly mismanaged, and so he was sued by the people who took the trips and the traveling agency that he was working with to organize the trips. So.
As a bid to inflate the fundraising figures of Martin's struggling committee and to take credit for cash transfers he could not otherwise afford. So how did the DNC even get into this devastating position to begin with? Why are they in debt? What's going on here? Well, the answer actually lies in the overall mishandling of the 2024 election. As the New York Times points out, some of the problems are a hangover from 2024. While Vice President Kamala Harris raised record sums that year, her loss left many big Democratic donors disillusioned with the party. Her campaign has also had millions in debt that the DNC spent much of last year paying off with Harris's help. That was $20 million in debt, by the way. And the single biggest expense in the Martin era was $7.3 million to buy the remnants of Harris's campaign list from her failed 2024 bid. Harris's Political Action Committee used the money to cover additional remaining debts.
Congress struck another shady backroom deal. This time, they want to bring over 3,000 Chinese driverless vehicles.
I'm so excited to open it. Oh my god, here we go, man. Oh my gosh, it's bigger than my other phone. They have 5G, man. Hi guys, and I ordered a phone from Tag Mobile, and you know, I'm letting everybody know about it, man. You know, you get a free phone, their service is good, you know, and it's reliable and it's free, man. You don't have to pay $60 anymore. But here we go, man. Check it out. I'm so excited to open it. Oh my god. They have 5G, man. SIM card right on top of the box. Oh my gosh, it's bigger than my other phone. Oh my god. That is nice, man. Check it out. And then here's the charger. Thank you, Tag Mobile.
$7.3 million for a list.
Yeah. So they raised off that list. And so maybe you could make your money back off of the money, off of a giant list like that. So I know how the mechanics of that works. But guys, so this was a surprisingly balanced story out of the New York Times. So let me give you
some people were complaining that Democrats didn't pay them for working the Harris campaign.
Then I want to get to my main criticism of it. Okay?
I believe it.
So number one, they explained that they've actually raised more than they did in 2018. So wait, what's the whole point of this article then? Well, they say, well, we're not sure where the money went. Well, no, you explain where the money went. It went to Kamala Harris's old campaign. And so that was certainly a huge part of it. And so should they have done that? I don't know. Maybe they shouldn't have. And they probably put a lot of pressure on him. Maybe that was Kamala Harris's problem and not the current Democratic voters' problem, right? So it's not, the fundraising is less of a problem than the expenses, apparently, according to that fact. But there are other facts in Ken Martin's direction. When he was the head of the Democrats in Minnesota, they did not lose a statewide election for 14 years. And the New York Times explains all this, okay? So that's a pretty impressive record. He has been empowering the state parties, and as progressives, we wanted state parties to be empowered, including red states. So he's not giving up on the red states. In fact, in Mississippi, the Republicans had a supermajority, but Ken Martin put money in to try to change that, and it worked. And now the Republicans don't have a supermajority in the Mississippi state legislature anymore. So he has done some positive things that should be noted if we're being honest about this conversation. Now to the main criticisms. There's little smaller things like, yeah, they're combining the parties' fundraising accounting to make it look like they raised more money. That's kind of cheesy. It's a relatively small thing, but still cheesy. But he's got to make up his mind. Brother, are you going to raise from the grassroots? And if you do that, by the way, Bernie has raised, what, over $250 million in 2 different presidential elections. It's not like you can't do that. AOC is a fundraising machine.
You just have to have a message.
And you have to actually believe it, and you have to fight for it. Or are you going to be a weaker corporate PAC entity than the Democrats in the House and the Senate? In which case, you're not going to raise that much money. He's half jumping off a cliff. And that's a terrible idea. And honestly, he's being super weak. He's constantly worried about like, oh, they have to get me. Who's going to get me? What am I going to do? How do I appease that? How do I appease that? Right? Both sides. Brother, you can't appease both sides. You've got to make a decision, and you've got to act strong. And if you go try to inch over to the corporate PAC side, they're just going to crush you. And they're going to write articles generally framed as you're incompetent, etc. And if you're not raising enough money, and you haven't gone grassroots, they're going to have a case.
Oh, shoot, it's
and
11,
then
8:11.
Replace you, and they'll
Yeah,
bring
after this,
in
I'm going. It's getting late. I didn't realize.
PACs and corruption.
We're obsessed with losing. Really?
Yeah. So if I'm counseling him, which I'm not, but if I was, I'd tell him, look, man, buck up. Let's go. Make a decision. And if you're going to be a corporate stooge, just be a corporate stooge. It's not going to break our heart. It's the DNC. It's been run by corporate stooges my whole life, right? And then we're done with you, but the corporate PACs will give you more money, and that's a decision a direction you can go. Or lean into the people and have the cojones to fight against the Chuck Schumers and the Hakeem Jeffries and the rest of the corrupt Democrats and go, no, we're going to support our voters, and not only are we going to raise more money that way, But on top
What's
of
the
that,
trade-off?
we're actually going to give people something
Establishment
to vote for
Democrats
and to be
who are often
excited about.
corrupt,
Can you imagine
sure.
having a DNC that's
Or the
honest and on our
DSA, the
side?
Democratic
actually can't.
Socialists of
I know, I was
America,
gonna say, it's
who are just
actually
straight up
unimaginable.
fucking
I've never
communists and
experienced
don't
But if
even
you went
deny
in that
it.
direction,
The
even if they
Democrats,
eliminated you,
because a lot of
you
people
would have done
think of
something
democratic
heroic.
socialism from
And instead of this waffling,
the early
wishy-washy
20th
nonsense,
century.
that's getting you hammered anyway.
Yeah, it's total beta energy. We don't want that.
That
Every
was
time you ring the bell below, an angel gets to swings.
like
Totally not true.
a
But it does
response
keep
to
you
like
updated on our live shows.
the authoritarianism rising in Europe at the time. Now they've embraced the authoritarianism. Did you see this preview for the new Thomas Crown movie? So apparently, what's his name? Michael B. Jordan is playing a black version of Thomas Crown. I don't know what to think of that. I'm not against the race swap necessarily because I don't know enough about the Thomas Crown franchise to be offended. But I do know the last time there was a Thomas Crown movie, it was played by the guy who played James Bond.
I was surprised.
What's his name? The one that played him in the 90s and 2000s. Not Daniel Craig, but the other guy.
That's what excites me.
He looks jacked. I don't want to say that much. Honestly, I probably won't go see it though, just because again, there's no pull to me for that franchise. Like the last time they had a Thomas Crown movie was, again, the late 90s or early 2000s, something like that. But yeah, it's an okay looking trailer though. Anyway, I'm out, Carlton. I'll talk to you later. I'll try to be on tomorrow. But it's Mrs. Contrarian's birthday. It's today, really. I mean, it's tomorrow on our calendar, but it's already August 3rd there. So unfortunately, she had planned on just having a picnic, a simple nature picnic out. Forgot where she said she wanted to go, but she can't because her younger sister, who just got married, and she rushed to get married because she was pregnant, she had the baby 3 months premature, and the baby died 2 days ago. So they were holding a wake yesterday, and now she's still doing the wake ceremony today as well. So she had took Monday and Tuesday off to have fun on her birthday, and now instead she's dealing with this wake, which is just horrible. And I was looking forward to being like an uncle to a little Filipino kid. So I felt sad too. Plus her sister is so sweet. Yeah, so I'm sorry to hear. Yeah, thank you. It was just terrible. Like, I was so shocked when I was like, wait, why she have, when she told me a week ago they were already having a baby, I was like, wait, wasn't that the baby wasn't due to October? So I was like, yeah, something's wrong. I was like, October? And the baby was on like critical life support the whole time, and it just didn't make it like 2 days ago, about almost 3 days ago. And I'm just like, wow, that is crazy. Then it just so happens that the wake is on her birthday, so that just messed. Yeah, that's just so effed up. I sent her a little gift though, so hopefully that'll lighten the mood for her. But I know she's not gonna really be in a celebratory mood with this wake. Anyway, I'm out, bro. Thanks for chatting with me, chopping it up. I'll be back tomorrow, or I'll try to be back tomorrow, depending on how busy I am with the wife and all that good stuff. Plus, I need to go run some errands and go shopping. I didn't do today because it was raining. All right, peace.